Hi there, how are you guys? So, sharing this here, I have to be careful with the volume of it because it will set a strike off on the channel. There's music that I used within this that gave me a strike the first time I shared a video. It was like a 40-minute screenshot of some stuff that was going on within this, where I communicated with my mom. Like, I figured out my mom was talking to me through the sound, and the reason why I even knew that was because the way she did it. So the other night, when I did my first live, I saw people, well, I saw a woman here with me. Nobody else could see it. Like, it was like pulling teeth to get people to fucking see this, like, full-on apparition of a woman. I'm like, what the fuck? And I got really frustrated about it. And the Thursday night after, I did that Tuesday, then Thursday night I went live, and there was a shitload of activity in that video. I felt like my mom and my sister, like, teamed up and were like, alright, we'll show them, because they did the orb thing, which has happened in the past whenever I've done stuff, and things showed up, like, all through the Moon Key rides. There was tons of orbs, people would comment about them. There was a video I did about, I was talking about time within it, and, like, 2 of them came flying into the wall, like, at us, and then they took a left together. I believe it was my sister and mom. They died very closely together. It's been, you know, traumatic couple of years, but the other night, and even the way that they did it was kind of like specific, like trying to be like, alright, we'll make sure that nobody has anything to say about this because we're gonna like be beside the bed and blah blah blah, because like when I touch my screen when I'm screen recording, you can see me touch the screen with like a white dot. So they went like down beside the bed and would like poke their head up and be like peekaboo. So there was tons of that, tons of I actually published the live after it was over. It was a 5-hour live. I did know stuff was going on during the live, but I didn't like see them specifically. And then I played it back and was like, holy fuck. So then I had some stuff going on here, specifically where I was being like touched, like the top of my head was being touched, the back of my back was being touched. I could feel stuff like pressing up against me, or like my hair would move, or I'd get like really weird static. In that live, the 5-hour long live, I did publish it so people could see it on the Divine Essentials channel. My hair went into like a ring, into a circle up, you know, like as if static was making it go up, but it was in like a ring, and I'm like, that's weird. But I tried to dismiss it as, oh, it's just static, but then it flipped and did the opposite way, almost like we knew you were going to do that, so yeah, now it's the opposite way. And then my dogs are acting weird and seeing the shit. You can actually see them in the live at different points, like try to like get it, like in the bed, or you'll see Mana looking at the wall, like wagging his tail, like, and there's nothing, you know, it's like it doesn't look like he's communicating with anybody. Why is he wagging his tail? Oh, because there's a fucking orb thingy over there. So yeah, all that stuff was going on. And then, like I said, I was being touched, and I was having all this weird shit go down, so I finally was like, you know what, I'm gonna, see what, like, if I can communicate with my mom. So I made like my own video by myself here. It was like a 30-minute video. I was like pointing it around my room. I pointed it outside of my room. I pointed at the steps at the top, like where my door is. And at one point you see an orb come up the steps, come into my room, and it's like, you know, a few feet ahead of 7-Eleven, one of my dogs. So it's like that thing takes a right in here, and then 7-Eleven comes in here, and I'm like, okay, so there's definitely some stuff going on. So I started talking to my mom. And again, a lot of times the stuff that you pick up in a video, you don't see it with your eyes. You may not even see it while you're making the video, but if you watch the video back, you'll probably pick up on stuff that you didn't see then. You can slow the video down if you use an editor like I do. And, you know, like, that's why I like to do it in the editor with the screen recorder, so I can show people specifically, like, you know, slowly scrolling over that timestamp, or slowly, playing it back, you know, on the slow motion mode. And that night I was like, mommy, at one point in the thing, and I was just being kind of like an ass, like I am, with the like Stewie Griffin thing where he's like, Lois, mommy. So I did that, and then I had asked her that night to help heal my feet, because my feet have been fucked. And, you know, I didn't really think much of it. I did watch it back. There was activity in it, but it wasn't like it wasn't as active as, say, like the live was. because the live had tons going on, and tons on me even. Like, yeah, there's the orbs, but if you look at me, you can see how uncomfortable I am. You can see the energy, like, all over my body. Like, I was wearing black, so it, like, shows up well on me. If you're attuned to it, if you're somebody that's, like, shut down, you haven't done any fucking meditation, you've never had, like, even thought about a chakra, whatever, you're probably not going to see it. You're too, like, just closed off to it, or you just dismiss it. Your conditioning will make you think that I'm crazy and just think whatever. But it's you know, it's a process. So, I had all that stuff going on me. I could see myself being uncomfortable. At one point, I even caught it in the camera. And I had 2 cameras on me that night. I had a Zoom call for the girls that wanted to speak to me directly with their voice. And I had the live for the members of the Divine Essentials channel who get the free readings once a month. I haven't even looked at the Zoom video because it's 5 hours long, and it's like, oh my god, I'm never going to get anything done because it takes so long. And then electronics don't always work well when you have a lot of high activity shit going on. So there's all this stuff going on, all this craziness. You even see me, like, catch it. I was like doing a reading, and I, like, stopped and I looked at the camera right as one of them had done, like, a little pokey out. Okay, so it's like, I know that they're definitely getting caught, they're being seen, all that stuff. So then, this day here, I had been looking out the window and connecting, because me and my dad have talked about this since we've moved in here. Like, one of the first times I came here, I cried because I knew that I was gonna get, like, you know, I just knew that it was gonna be dark. Like, it's dark here. I can't explain it. I don't know how to say it. Like, I'm very grateful that I can come here and live here and have this space to be and all of that. But I'm very sensitive to energy. I'm very sensitive to light. I'm very sensitive to my surroundings and all the things. Like, I cannot function in certain ways. And I just knew coming in that for some reason the energy or the essence or whatever, it felt dark. So I actually cried because I was like, this is going to be hard. And it has been very hard. Like, my dogs, my 2 little girls, they had Lyme, like, pretty quickly. As soon as we moved in, I got Lyme, and that was like life-changing, because I've never had so much pain, agony, discomfort, and just, like, took me down completely. Like, my business was booming, I was doing awesome, everything was growing and expanding, and it just crashed, because I could not do anything. And unfortunately, in this work, I'm the fucking business. Like, nobody else could do the reading for you. Nobody else could channel the spirit for you. Nobody else can, you know, channel this or channel that or whatever. It's just like, it's like the majority of what I do is me. And it's hard to do that when you're dying in your bed for an entire year. So, yeah, it hasn't been easy. Plus, my mom died. Plus, my sister died. And both were totally unexpected, you know, like, well, my mom had been sick, you know, throughout her life, but still wasn't really, like, expecting it, because she's always pulled through. My sister was very young. She had, you know, disabilities. She had difficulty at her birth, but, like, we never expect. She was, like, 8 years seizure-free, you know, and she died of a seizure in her bed asleep at night, and it's like, what the hell, you know? So those things happened. Then, like, the whole leaving a toxic, narcissistic, abusive relationship that I was in for an extended amount of time. We had been living in a basement for 4 years with nothing. No heat. It was one room of, like, torture. So, like, anything out of there is an upgrade, but still, energy is built for me. So, I've always felt, and my dad's always felt, like, there's spirits here, there's energy here, there's definitely things around. The guy who built the house, we know he's here. There's a woman here for sure. Lots of people have seen her. She's jumped into me before, knocked me off of my bed before. And I'm pretty sure that we've, like, cleared a lot of things up over the time. Recently, though, I had noticed, like, when I was, like, here, there's, like, a little area in the back where there's water, like a water stream, like a wild thing. Of course, there's the bog over there. I was like, we're pretty close to the ocean, and we're in that hook for Massachusetts, right? So it's like, if I was a Native American this is where I would probably set up shop, you know? So, like, when I look out there, I can imagine, like, teepees. I can imagine, because there's, like, a flat land on there. Then there's the bog. Then there's, where we are, is, like, a little hill with a house on top of the hill. And then, again, that stream, freshwater stream in the back and all of that. It's like, this would be the perfect place if you're Native American, okay? Again, tons of spirit activity, tons of stuff always going on. Like, me and him will fall into deep, deep, dark depressions. I actually asked him recently if he was okay, because I had been getting, like, signs from spirit about suicide. He said he was fine, no. And then, like, a week later, he had been contemplating, you know, killing himself in the fucking car. And I'm like, what the hell? So, it happens quick. It's not, like, you know, it's not anything you can really... There is things you can do about it, but it's not like you can, like, know, like, ahead of time. Like, oh, when I, you know, 2022, on this day, when this happens, or this spirit's going to get triggered, or you're going to do something... It happens. Also, for some fucking reason, since we've lived here, we've become like the catch-all for people. And the other night, when I felt that magnet stuff, I felt these magnets, and I could feel myself being sucked out of this world. Like, I'm like being sucked out of the world. Everything had magnetic feel to it. It was like I'd put something down and boom, wicked hard, wicked heavy. Like a magnet was in it. Even the feather that I have was like sticking to stuff like a magnet would. And then I realized it was a portal was open, okay? And I had just seen something recently about, like, if you print out a blueprint of your house, like, you know, here's my house, here's my this and that, like, just the layout of your house, you can use a pendulum and find out, like, where the ley lines are, find out where a portal may be, and then find out, is it an entryway or is it an exit way? Because, unfortunately, the exits are, like, where we put a graveyard, or where we put a junkyard, or where we put trash, because it's gross. It's not a good place. It's going to be exiting out all the toxic, bad stuff. So, of course, you're going to start to decay there. You're going to start to die there. And we've had all the fucking ghost plants out here. We've had all the fungus out here, all the mold out here. I'm afraid to let the dogs walk around out there sometimes, because they get, like, a rash, or they get, like, itchy. And I know it's connected to that. And, like, the ghost plants are literally, like, the fucking, like, you know, I'm gonna suck your blood type of shit, or brains, what do you call them, like, they are those of the world. Like, they don't have any chlorophyll, they're all white, they're creepy, and they feed off of dead bugs or dead plants, okay? So there's a lot of that shit here, and, like, every time we discover something, or look up something, or I find something, it's like, oh, decay, death, blah, blah, blah. Another fucking weird thing that started happening here, I had a guy coming to give me a healing, and the night before, fucking maggots came out of nowhere. I could not find the source of them. And it wasn't like massive amounts of them, but it would be like one little maggot going across the floor, right? And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Where's it coming from? Ah! And then it did again and again, and it did it so, and it was like in a way that it extended my time, like, so much, because I'm like, every time I went back through, there was another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and I'm like, I'm gonna die. And I literally spent that whole night trying to figure out where it was. I told my dad, pull the fridge out, nothing under there. We looked everywhere, like the ceiling here is like all sealed off, like it doesn't even have a crack. The stuff on the floors, like where it could come from underneath, there wasn't anything there. The trash it was like a brand new bag in there. There was nothing in there, nothing in the, you know what I mean? There was no residues or anything like that, so it was really fucking weird. But then it happened again, like a week later. Same fucking thing, like one or two of them, not massive amounts of them, but just like one or two of them come creeping out of nowhere. And it was like it's like when that stuff happens, like a sign to me, okay? Maggots are used for, you know, all of that stuff. You think of like decay, death, blah, 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 right? Then we had mice. Went into my fucking pocketbooks, my fucking Coach pocketbooks, $400 bag, $500 bag, $300 bag, eaten by mice. Not entirely, just one little bite out of it to ruin it, you know, just, oh, we're gonna ruin your bag, but we're not gonna, you know, destroy it. We're just gonna ruin it enough so that you don't want to use it anymore. You have to throw it out. I'm like, fuck you. But I know it's all connected, and it's all, you know, it's all ego and shit too, because the same type of stuff happened back when I went through my awakening originally. It's like we lost everything, went down to nothing, had you know, had gone from like driving an Escalade and having a home with like I had a bedroom that I used for my closet. That's how many clothes I had. That's how we were set up. It was like there was a room for the kids, there was a room for my clothes, there was a room for me and him. Then downstairs there was a room with a tanning bed that I would like be in as my office, and I would sit on the computer. And we had the dining room, the kitchen, like another little area down where there was a bathroom, the laundry area, and then upstairs had a bathroom as well, and then the living room. So I mean, you know, we had a boat, we had jet ski, we had everything that we needed, everything was fine. I was under the impression we were good, but I didn't know what he had been doing was like, you know, taking money from somebody in probably the not best way. I know some of it got like, they made it look more than it was, and they like fucked with it, but that's because they already didn't like him for something else, and he's just one of those people. So anyways, when that all happened, we lost the house, we lost everything, because I was with him and his narcissistic weird tendencies. He didn't want me to have a job, he didn't want me to work, because he thought I was gonna like go do what he did and cheat. So that's why I learned all the stuff I've learned basically about like online, because I was trying to figure out how to make money from home. And when, you know, shit hit the fan, the first time he went to jail was for 6 months for a stolen car. I kept us in the house somehow, some way, I don't even know. Like, it just all kind of played out. There was one time that we had put a deposit down on a ring, and that place closed down in the meantime. And he's in jail, and like the lights are gonna get turned off, and the money that we needed for the lights specifically came like to the penny. It was like, oh, you need $256.30 for the lights. Well, here's $256.30 that you paid on this ring. Here you go. I was like, holy shit! And this is before my spiritual awakening, so I didn't even know what was happening. Like, I didn't realize it was like synchronicity. I didn't realize manifesting. But it was at the like very beginning stages of all that, and where we are right now is kind of like, if you've already had your awakening, say you woke up 2012, or 2012 to 2014 is the last time we've had a cycle or energy that we're in right now, okay? So November 11, 2011 is when I woke up, okay? Had a buzz go through my head, and all this information, all this crazy shit happened. And then it just progressed from there. So it was basically 2012. It was like a month away. Since then, all my stuff has been crazy and intense and overwhelming. But I feel like that's kind of like what I'm going through again right now, because I had another buzz the other day go through my head, and I was like, oh my god, tons of ringing in the ears, tons of sounds, tons of things that I don't normally have. Like, I'm a clear knower. I don't normally see, I don't normally hear. I do feel, but not to the extent that I've been feeling, and it's all been amplified. So I definitely feel like it's like round 2 of that shit show. And if you've never been through anything, or if you've never had an awakening experience, or, you know, a story like that, this could be the time where you're going to be like turned on. So, you know, I think it's all tied together. It all makes sense. But anyways, there was definitely spirits here out there that were in the bog area. And so I went out, like, I didn't even go out. I stood here, I had my window open, no screen. So there's nothing between me and over there, just the air. And I recorded and I communicated with them, and I could see them like communicating in different ways. You know, it was like things would be bouncing, or things would be like, you know, shrouded around, or they'd be like what looks like a flower that's moving, like the other flowers are moving, but this one's got like a ghost-like appearance. You know, it's like, it's not like an actual fucking flower. So I communicated with them, and then I started channeling that the white man came here, and they taught them everything they knew, and they gave them their food, and they gave them their, you know, wisdom and how to hunt, and and like basically taught them everything. Then the fuckers murdered them and destroyed everything, and they didn't even like bury them, they just left them for dead. The natives that were here, the white man came, destroyed them, pillaged them, and fucked them up and left them out there. So obviously they haven't been too happy about it. Obviously there's been depression and sadness and darkness around here, and obviously they needed some love. So the craziest thing about it was I have never really done that specifically, like, let me walk you home, guys. You know, like, I've done a lot of shit with spirit, and I'm not crazy about mediumship because it always hurts. It always makes me wicked, upset, and emotional. I feel what every person felt. I feel the people around them, like, they're connected to, their family members, and I don't like it. So I tend to stay away from that. I do a lot of, like, the star stuff, where I'm, like, channeling beings of the divine. Or I do, like, tarot readings for people in love, and even that can be draining and miserable because everybody's, you know, dealing with horrible people. So, I end up, you know, finding out their story. I'm already sad about it, crying, and then I listened to this woman on YouTube because I'm like, all right, well, what am I supposed to do specifically? Like, I wanted to know, is there a certain rule or regulation about it? Is there a certain thing I should say or do or just know about? Because it's good to know. So, I watched hers, and it was basically the same thing. She didn't have as many of them, but she was on vacation somewhere, and she could feel them while she was on a walk, like a hike. And it was like a woman and a daughter and a man, and then when she opened up, like, the pathway for them to go to the light, a Native American came, like a chief came to meet them there and acknowledged the woman that had, you know, facilitated this as like a spirit walker, or in the shamans thing, I think they call it like a psychopomp. And I've had a lot of synchronicity with the psychopomp because I've had a lot of people come to me before they die. Within like 48 hours, they come talk to me, or we interact or something, and then they pass away. And it's always been a fucking traumatic experience because I'm like, oh my god. Like, my ex, saw him right before he passed away. The girl that I was a mentor for, saw her well, I didn't see her, but I talked to her after years of not talking to her. She's apologized to me, tried to manipulate me to get me to talk to her further, and so that kind of made me stay away, and then she was gone. And then there was the guy Derek, who was a starseed, one of the first people I've ever connected with that, you know, knew what I was talking about when I was like, hey, Pleiadian, he passed away. But the fucked up thing was, I was supposed to give him a reading that week, and I had given him like 2 or 3 readings in the past. He wanted to change it because he wasn't feeling good. And I was like, oh, you should take a nice hot bath. Then 2 days later, I found out that they found him dead in the bath. And I'm like, oh my god, like, so it's always been difficult. I saw my sister right before she passed away, and you know, she's my sister, but I didn't live with her, I didn't grow up with her. She lived with my stepmother, so it's not like I saw her all the time. Like, it wasn't uncommon that, you know, weeks or months would go by without seeing her. So I always end up seeing people right before they go. Like, my mom, I held her hand as she went. I saw her leave her body. I saw her last breath at 4:44. And that's what they say, like, the psychopomp is kind of like, it's almost like you give them a frequency. You, like, do something for them that helps them to go. Because when you leave your body at the end of your life, it's not like a quick boom, here I go, everything's fine. All the people that you've wronged and all the people that want to get you, like with karma and stuff like that, are right there waiting for you when you leave. This is according to the shamans. And that's why the shamans spend their life trying to, like, transcend this world and know what they're doing before they get out of here, so that they can get there and get through there without getting stuck into the underworld, which is very close and similar to things that you'll hear from ancient Egyptians, or that, like, we gotta go through the Book of the Dead bullshit, like, you know, we gotta weigh our heart, we gotta go through here, we gotta get through there, and and all the evil darkness is down there, and if you're not a good person, you're gonna be fucked, you're gonna be staying down there. So it seemed to be a common, you know, idea among the people. And again, shamanism, they're not all about, ooh, love and light, everything's great, everything's because it's unrealistic. You know, some people try to, like, all right, you're gonna be the power of attraction, you're just always fucking happy, never ever had a bad day. Well, what about when your family fucking dies? What about when this happens? What about if you get sick? Like, you are not impenetrable just because you're in a fucking good mood, you know? And your good mood's not impenetrable. You're just not posting on social media when you're in a bad one. That's fine. You don't have to. Don't give energy to it, but don't pretend it doesn't exist. That's shadow work. If you don't do your shadow work, if you don't acknowledge the dark, then you're not going to get any further with the light. It's a dualistic world we live in. We have a duality to exist within. The light and the dark, the good and the bad, the up and the down, the back and the forth. All of it's out there because that's where we are. And if you want to, you know, bypass it and pretend it doesn't exist, that's up to you, but it's probably going to catch up with you eventually and knock your ass down hard. So I recommend shadow work, acknowledging your demons, feed your demons in a way that's like, not like, you know, to a degree. We're not like summoning them to come fucking kill people or whatever. It's just more so feeding your own inner demons, like giving yourself permission to have a bad day, giving yourself permission to eat the fucking thing that you want to eat, or you know, say the swear, or to what degree it is for you, because everybody's different, you know. Depends on how you grew up. I grew up in a family that was very sarcastic. A lot of, you know, trauma was like just like bred into it. So, you know, swearing and like having a fucking piece of chocolate cake is like the least of anybody's worries. But other people out there, like, that's like, oh my god, it's unheard of. So it just depends where you came from, and there's nothing wrong with either one. It's just a matter of, you know, what you're going up against. But yes, when I did the channeling, I saw the guys, the Native Americans, you know, wanted to leave. They wanted to go home. They said they needed help to go. So I was like, okay, I'll do a ceremony. And they were even like, yeah, bouncing up and down, all excited about it. I did it. Right here, you see me doing it. There's a lot of stuff within here even where it's like tons of shit going on from them. Spirit-wise, like activity. And afterwards, there was still stuff around, and I was like, what the fuck, because I was like, again, being touched and all of that. But the other night when I did that thing with my mom, see right there, just some stuff flew right into me, little spiral, guys. When I did that thing with my mom, right, it was like, mom, mommy, blah, blah, blah. Then a spirit just left too, just left that thingy there. So I'm with this, right? I had the screen recorder on for watching this back so I could grab those moments like we just saw, like the flame of the candle had little spirals come out and go like into me, and then there's a big one that goes like right by me up into the sky. So I was screen recording, watching this, and then for some reason I slowed it down, like I grabbed it, so you can make a break in the video, like how the length of it, you put a break so that way it's only going to interact with this one part you're on. So I did that, and then you can change the speed of the video that you're looking at. So I slowed it down, and I'm playing it because I wanted to see what was going on with the energy and all of the shit that's around me. And like, if you saw that 60-second clip I did recently where it was like, that started happening, but I wasn't really even paying attention to it at first because of all the other stuff that was going on, and I was like, bah, bah, bah. But then all of a sudden I realized it was actually doing it, but it was doing it like that Stewie thing, but in a way that was like, Bridget, Rao. And I'm like, wait a minute. And it had like an overlay or like a second track playing with it where it was like me doing the mommy, mom. And then on top of that, I could hear crying or like sadness or upset, like, mommy. And I didn't do that, okay? So I'm like, wait a minute. So all of a sudden, everything just stops. Like I paused it, but it's still screen recording. So you just hear silence. The screen stops. Nothing's going on. I stood there for over a minute with my mouth like wide open, and I was like, Mom? Like just in shock, total shock. I'm like, Mom, is that you? And I couldn't. It's hard because it's like, that's my knowing, okay? My fucking clear knowing all of a sudden was like, oh my god. And then, you know, and I haven't talked to my mother since she's been dead, so it was like, holy fuck. And then like registering what was actually happening and all of that, and I was like, oh my god. So I went and I had stuff in here. I was like, jingle the bell, and for some reason I don't know, I think like they need to gather energy or something. So I went and I got the pendulum, and because I was like, we need a better yes or no system, blah blah. Grabbed the pendulum, and all this is recorded, and I start talking to her. Now you've got to keep in mind, like, me and my mom had the type of connection already in this physical world where we didn't always need the full sentence. We didn't always need to even fucking say anything. We could just look at each other and know what the other one was thinking, what they were referring to, what was going on inside of the mind. So if, like, you know, I had a certain situation in my life and I just happened to like say like, what do you think about that blah blah blah, like that asshole, she would know who that asshole is and she would know what to think about it, you know, just based off of that short sentence. So keeping that in mind, that's how I, you know, so you can't hear her because she's like a spirit, but you can at certain points. I can anyways. I don't think everybody can, because I gave it to my sister and she wasn't able to really hear. But the funniest thing about it all is the fucking second question I asked her was, is Chrissy okay? Because that's my sister's name. And she was like, no. And I was like, what's going on? Like, what? I was like, what does she need? What can I do? I've been trying to help her, like, for a while, to change the circumstances around her situation. And I was like, does she need money? And she's like, no. And I was like, just to be there? She's like, yeah. So we had, like, the yes and no on the thing. And I started crying because I realized, like, that third overlay was my sister that I could hear in that recording. Other people probably won't hear it. They probably will hear some other thing being recited to them over and over and over. It may sound like their own name, or it may be, and that's okay, because that's how reality is. It's a parallel dimensional thing. It all works together and it all bumps on top of each other. You're going to receive what you receive. I'm going to receive what I receive. Like when I look up that thing right now, right, I see like a mermaid, but I know that before I saw like a snake thing on the moon with like how the click, and that's really a weird whole situation going on right there anyways, cloud wise. But other people may see like a witch's hat or whatever. It depends on you and your specific frequency, your energy. And also, whatever we put out, whatever we think, whatever thought, whatever word, whatever voice we use, you know, like anything you think of, anything you've ever said, anything you've ever like emitted into this creation of existence that we have, which is all vibration and frequency, it exists somewhere out there. It may not be here on this planet with us, but it's out there because you've thought of it, you've created it, you've made it somewhere out there in the grand scheme of things. And now how you could get it here to this reality is how much you believe in it and how believable it is to you. Like if it's like a fucking purple dinosaur, you may not believe in that enough to get it here in this lifetime at least. Maybe you'll get to go see it in the astral realm or something, but it might be harder to get something like that to manifest here. But doesn't mean that it's not out there. It's existing somewhere because you thought of it. You wouldn't have even thought of it if it didn't even exist. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh man, it's so layered. It's so, but you can't dismiss one person's reality from another. And when you realize that, and when you realize how interchangeable it all is, and how fluid it all is, and how easily manipulated it all is, and how easily you create things too, because like I can go down a slippery slope of scary, oh no, bad, or I can go down the slippery slope of this isn't bad, this is good, this is supportive, you know. It just depends on how we're looking at things and how we're feeling about things and what's surrounding us and who's surrounding us, you know. Do you have a support system? Do you have people you trust? Do you have, you know, a spiritual inclination? Have you studied this stuff? Have you explored it? Have you tried it out for yourself? Because if you haven't done it yourself, if you haven't stood outside at night, talked to the fucking stars and had them respond, have them bring weird shit, have all these crazy like, whoa, synchronicities that just get more and more and more and more over time, and then you're probably gonna be like, this bitch is nuts. But if you've spent an inkling of a moment, you know, doing anything, expanding your mind, meditating, having experiences, then you probably be like, yeah, I can see it, I can understand it. And you may even hear your own messages through the messages. One of the things that helped me too a lot was like when I did my guided meditations for people in person, right? I would do them like every weekend at a center. 7 or 8 people would come, lay in the gravity chairs and receive, you know, the healing energy. I'd play the crystal balls and I'd take them on a journey. I never gave them preconceived notions about where we're going, who we see it, or what we're doing, but I would just take them somewhere specific, do something specific. And almost every time, there would be people when we come back, we'd go around the circle and they'd share their experience. There would always be people who had the very exact same thing happen at the exact same moment. Or there would be people who were seeing stuff that I had not said yet before I said it, you know. So it would be like, they're seeing like a mermaid swimming through purple whatever, right? And I'd be like, and to the left, there is a mermaid, you know, right after they see it. So it's like, whoa, oh my God. That type of stuff confirmed for them that this stuff is real. You know, like how would they get the purple mermaid if the purple mermaid wasn't actually there? If how I get the purple mermaid from her head and her head, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. And that's why I tell people pay attention, because there's a lot of stuff you know that you don't know that you know, and then like it's just up in there. Nobody taught you it. You already know it because it's innately within you, because it's part of your consciousness. It's part of creation. It's just known. Okay, some stuff is not like that, and it's good to, you know, teach yourself, learn about as much as possible so that you can have a foot in solid ground. Because like I know like a lens flare. I know like, you know, the stuff like. I know what can fuck with stuff and what can make stuff be like a thing or not be like a thing, but for the most part, I will not share stuff. I will not go through my trouble of being like, hey, look at this, unless I really feel like legitimate about it, because I know how people are. They're looking for a reason to dismiss it. I'm always looking for a reason to dismiss it, because I'm like, this is really crazy. But the amount of stuff that I've had go down just this week alone, it's so overwhelming. Like I can't even get things posted or shared or whatever, because then I have the energy working against me energetic wise, where it's like it's so much, like you blow up a light bulb, or your like electronics just shut down or they don't work right, you know. And then the eclipse itself, you know, messes with stuff. It's electronic or magnetic, but I literally was like a fucking magnet portal here in my home, an exit, sucking people out, sucking me out of this world. That was really scary for me, freaking me out a lot, because I could feel it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get taken away. Something's trying to get me, and you know, sometimes you'd be scared at night. But anyways, I wanted to explain all of this so people understood, like, I'm not losing my mind, I'm not a crazy person, but there's been a hell of a lot of stuff going on. Energetic, ghost-like, weird, creepy deepy, in the whole fucking thing that's been like, you know, the weird parts. Another weird part is basically, we had Samhain, right? Halloween. I did a healing for like a dude who, I guess, you know, all the, you know, twin flame, right? If there was gonna be a person like that falls into the fucking synchronicity confirmations of all of that, it would be that one. Okay, comes in and out of my fucking life, has all the fucking weird shit, the magnetism, the fucking insane like chemistry, physical craziness. It's like like you can't even think. Neither one of us know how to communicate very well. Neither one of us trust. Neither one of us have had good experiences with people in the past. Neither one of us had the best upbringing in terms of like learning from our people, like how you have a healthy relationship and how you have healthy communication and how you talk to each other comfortably about your feelings and emotions and be vulnerable and expressive and all that shit. We can't do that. Like, we just fucking shut down, we get weird, or I do anyways, and then they do too. It's like, because we mirror each other. Like, if we're in a good mood, we're both in a good mood. If we're in a weird mood, we're in a weird mood. But that's he came, and it was like all this weird shit started happening. Also, what was weird about it was like to the year last year we had connected, so it was a fucking cycle thing playing out. So last year, October, like beginning of October, like October 3rd, right, they had reached out to me after like a year of silence, and I was like, I don't know, I didn't want to see them. They wanted candles. I was thinking of just like shipping them to them and not giving them to them, like by giving them in hand. But then the fucking universe was like, oh, my power went out for days, for fucking days. The same time that lady thing jumped into my belly and knocked me off my bed, right? And I had something on camera back then too, like some ghost dog thing that ran through the house when I was saging. My power went out for 3 days. So I left here one day, finally. I like looked online to get a hotel because I needed a fucking shower. So all I wanted was a fucking shower. And the place, you know, says that they're open and all of that. They let you book for $100 and something. And I drove all the way there. I pull up to the place and it's all dark. You cannot see it. There's nothing there. There's no whatever. And then I finally like realized, like, oh my god, they're not open. And they had like messaged through their app to say that they don't have lights and all of that, but they were gonna still let me pay and stay. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why would anybody want to do that? That's the whole point of coming there. But the crazy part of it, the place, now in Massachusetts, because of all what was going down, you know, days and days without power, it was like one of 2 places in the whole fucking state that had a room available, and it was like 10 minutes away from his house. On my way to that place, I'm driving and my phone like notifies me about Messenger on Facebook. So I open it and it's like, you've found vanish mode. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is a vanish mode? Now, mind you, if you've done twin flame bullshit, you probably know about the vanish mode that exists there, ghost mode or whatever. So I was like, what is this? And they were like, I don't know. And I was like, typical of you, or something like that. I was kind of rude. And they didn't say anything back, so I was like, oh fuck. Because I don't want to be mean or rude. Like, I'm really, like, you know, it's just speaking the fucking truth, basically, of like, yeah, you have a tendency to do shitty shit sometimes, but we all do, so whatever. Basically, I don't know, I said something else, and I told them what I was doing. I was like, did you get power back yet? And they had just got it back on like 5 minutes before that. So it was like spirit pushed me out of my house, got me to go down to where they were, got me to fucking go to this place that has no fucking lights, and also sends me a vanish mode fucking thing so that we're now communicating. So he's like, you can come shower here. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't have the candles with me. I didn't have the stuff that he wanted to get from my shop and all that. And I'm like, alright. So I did go there and shower. And that was like, you know, that was it. Showered. And then we talked. And he informed me that he was awakening or waking up or whatever. And I'm like, oh, weird. So then a year later, probably to the fucking day, he reached out again. But I didn't, I was wicked sick. But like the year before, when he reached out to me, I was like, I was hesitant. I didn't want to see him. I was like pushing him away. I was like, no. So I just like kept pushing it off. And then finally, like, I had no choice in that matter of how that first time went about. Then when I did see him and realized, like, oh, he's communicating, you know, and he's like awakening. Usually that means big things for people, like they're going to be a different person now. So a year later, it's like the same exact things played out, but just differently. He reached out to me, then like weeks went by without me saying anything, and then the day that we communicated, you know, the day that I took a shower was the day that I finally reached out to him and was like, hey, I can do a heal, because he asked for healing this time. I was like, I can do a healing for you, and then it was almost like, it's like the last time, because we saw each other that night very quickly. You know, I didn't have the candle with me, but I took a shower. He had to work, so it was like quick, and you know, like within a couple hours I was in and out. So the 30th of last year, I went there and spent like the whole day there and talking and you know, about all the stuff. And it was like very quickly following after that. I remember I brought the candles. I brought a protection candle and an abundance candle. He had a candle there from some girl that he was like, she's like the devil, and she put something on it and And I'm like, why are you burning it? You dummy. So he was like, oh no, it's fine, it's almost gone. And I was like, you should put it out. He's like, yeah, it's almost gone. So then he goes to open my candle that I just brought, the protection one, and the lid of it, as he took the lid off, it fucking spun in the air, and it landed perfectly on top of hers, went into it, like suction into it. Like, if you tried, you never would have gotten it to go in how it went in. Like, it was like to the exact size that it needed to be to even be able to fit in there. You could never try and hope to get it to land and go within. It would never happen. It was too close. It was like, no. But it did. It went right in. It was like, put it out. And I was like, told ya. He was like, oh my god. So that was like the first of all those things. We, you know, had all this stuff go down. This year, same fucking thing. The 30th to the 30th. 1 fucking year apart to the day. And even the way that like we decided like, oh, we saw each other or talked about it on this day. Like he was originally gonna come, you know, a couple days after, but then like moved it up. So it was like I don't know what it is. Like we have to talk on the 29th and see each other on the 30th every year. Like I don't know what it is or why it is exactly, but that's the weird synchronicity that fucking falls into line with all this shit. And it makes you feel like you're crazy, but you're not. Because if you were crazy, like, you know, other people wouldn't be like involved in it. You'd be like a little Looney Tune sitting out there somewhere making stories up that don't make sense, that nobody's ever seen and nothing's ever happened out. You know, it's like, oh, it's a bullshit, whatever. These things are actually happening, playing out, and like repeating and showing for a reason. And just all the fucking little weird shit like that, just it's non-stop. So I don't know. I feel like I need to get like a book that like just keeps track of it all, and then like write a book about like synchronicity book. Here's my synchronicity for the last fucking, I don't know, or make short stories based off of the synchronicity, because I could use like other people, you know, pretend like it's somebody else that went through it, change the characters up, change the details a little bit, based loosely on a, you know, true story type of shit. For some reason lately I keep getting this, it keeps coming back, it keeps coming up. I do a lot of poetry, I do a lot of writing, and I've done some like sexy writing, but I've never shared it with anybody. And I'm like, I know that shit fucking people like that, and people like eat it up. So I may do some sexy writing, or share the sexy writing that I have, or do like a series of it, because it's like, seriously, it's like my pastime. It's just writing, so why not use it for people in a way that they like or can, you know, benefit from or enjoy. So who knows what will come to be. But this is a time right now too where people may feel like pulled to change their career, or pulled to change major things. Obstacles that have been in the way could go away. Things that you thought were going to go a certain way could end in a, you know, totally opposite way. There could be traumatic endings, or there could be traumatic experiences that lead to good things, or traumatic experiences that lead to like not so good things in your mind. You know, like the ending of a karmic relationship may be difficult for somebody if they're in it and they're like in love or whatever with somebody that's not good for them, but in the long run it may be the best thing for them if something, you know, happens in a way that's like not the best for like their heart or whatever. But in the end, you know, eventually they may be able to be okay about it or get better or whatever. So just know, like, to expect the unexpected. Don't focus on the negative. Don't get all like, it's gonna be bad, it's gonna be sad, because then it will be. Try to keep your options open about, you know, what you want to do, where you want to do it. Like if you're inspired to change, right now would be the fucking time to do it. You're in the Taurus energy, which is creative, seductive, luxury, money, stability. Like if you do it right and you're in that energy, good. Uranus is also like about like, wow, fucking crazy shit, like just like didn't see that coming, pokey poke, like crazy shit. So Uranus and Taurus are like, you know, crazy, but the Taurus energy stabilizes it and can make the weird crazy shit actually like worthwhile, or long lasting, or luxurious, or, you know, like not expected. It's not very expected, you know, like, oh, I didn't expect that girl would fucking do that, and she did. Wow, I can't believe she fucking pulled that shit off, you know, that type of thing. I don't like the way people write about this stuff, like with like the eclipses and stuff, or like anything, because it makes everybody out there focus on, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Is something really, really bad gonna happen? Is somebody gonna do this? I'm gonna die, like all this shit. And it's because of the way people word, how they word, you know, bad ending, Don't fall for it or suck into that, because you will create that, and you don't need to. There's like a jungle cat or something out in my bog right now that I'm looking at, and a guy with a green vest, but I don't think it's really a jungle cat. I think it just looks like it. So yeah, you may have that. That's unexpected. So I'm going to end this, and then I'm probably just gonna put like arrows and stuff to the things that are on here. What I'm gonna do is I can't publish this with the music, so if you want to do like the ceremony part of it, you can do that on Vimeo. It's gonna be like $2 on Vimeo, because if I put this onto my YouTube, they strike it, and I get a strike against the channel, blah blah blah. There's copyrighted music or something. I didn't even realize, like, I didn't even think about it, because I had a playlist going of like mini songs, so I don't know which one it was, but it got a strike just sharing that little fucking tiny clip thing that I did with my sister, where the sound is like sped up and slowed down and all of that. So this one's probably, if there's any talking, it will be like the entry and the exit, and then the link for Vimeo will be added. I have to try and get it uploaded and all of that. Things have not been working for me very well in terms of all of that, trying to do those things, but so I think it's starting to clear up now that the eclipse has passed, or we're in the eye of the storm. I don't fucking know. Sometimes they say like the center, like there's like a calmness in the middle of it, because, you know, think of how like it covers it up, right? So it's like the calmness. Like yesterday, I don't know if anybody noticed, or if they were awake for that time, but like when the actual eclipse went down, Facebook, Instagram, all those places, none of them were working properly because the energy was like off. So it was weird. And it probably played out a couple of times throughout the day. But if you're noticing weird shit like that, like, oh, Instagram's not loading, or this isn't like a thing I posted didn't share right away, or it's not up yet, or or it failed, it's because of that. Okay? So yeah, I'm gonna go and namaste.